I think there's pizza.
There's still more pizza, hydration. Okay, I haven't eaten, but it's okay. I'm happy just to see smiling faces. Anyways, good evening again. I'm thankful to Kat for setting up what SMART is and opportunities in the Philippines in her deck, so I don't have to focus on that. But just as a very short, I suppose, introduction, I've been in the group for about almost 12 years now, so 3+ years in ICT and 8+ years in mobile. And during that time, I already saw a lot of developments because I came to work for the group after high school. So 12 years anyway. So I saw a lot of developments. I remember being in the ICT arm of the group. And at the time, wireless LAN was so new. We had 5 wireless LAN cards in the office that around 50 people were trying to borrow because most anyway were still on desktops and only a few were on laptops. And we were trying to borrow each other's wireless LAN cards because a wireless LAN card was about $150 and it was Cisco who had those wireless LAN cards. We were working with a coffee place in the Philippines to try to pilot the first Wi-Fi hotspot model, and our main problem was the security of the wireless LAN cards. Well, a year later, the laptop manufacturers started embedding Wi-Fi in their laptops, and after that, there really was no need. Then later on, it was, what is the business model for Wi-Fi? Now, it's not something that you really make money of. It's something that an establishment needs for people to stick around. So it's not for them to make money of, but rather something they need to put in their establishment to generate more revenues from their core business. So lots of things are happening, lots of technologies, and the consumer in the Philippines is not far from that. So there's a lot of things that have happened to them, and that's what I'll be describing in my presentation. So first, just some facts about the mobile market in the Philippines. So almost 100 million now, the Philippine population, but the addressable market from our end are those from 13 to 60 years old, and that's almost 65 million. Mobile phone penetration is 88%. You'll probably see some publications that say it's 100+%. 88% is unique users. In the Philippines, there are a lot of multi-SIM users, those who have 1 SIM, 2 SIMs, even 3 SIMs. So that's counted in some of the publications you'll see. But when we look at unique individuals, it's actually around 88%. The industry revenue mix. Philippines is largely prepaid. In terms of revenues, around 72% is prepaid and 28% is postpaid. But a year ago, in Q1 2013, I think it was around 76% prepaid and 24% postpaid. So we've seen a lot of growth in postpaid, which kind of means that there's a lot of development now that's happening in the Philippines for subscribers to be able to pay for postpaid. Smart, as Kat mentioned earlier, owns the majority of, has the biggest market share. So in terms of cellular subscribers, it's 63%. In terms of revenue share, it's 58%. And we're happy that we've been able to stay within the 58% revenue share within the last, I think, 3 or 4 quarters. So we've been holding on that despite the very active competitive environment in the country. So, internet use is rapidly growing. I'm going to read out a quote from the Nielsen MD in the Philippines. It says, Filipinos are demanding fast, convenient, and on-the-go access to the internet. Mobile devices are effectively addressing this demand. And as a result, web users are migrating away from traditional PCs to connected devices as a means of accessing internet online. So some of the numbers here show that internet penetration has doubled since 2010. 52% are now on the internet this year versus 27% 4 years ago, and it was really mobile that drove that growth because accessing the internet from the mobile phone is now up to 35%, and that used to be less than 10% in 2012. So, sorry, that's not 2010, that's 2012. Now, mobile access as a means to access the internet is the same as desktop usage. And so we're really seeing how mobile or how connected devices are the one that's driving the use of internet among consumers. In the Philippines, the penetration of smartphones is still low. So you'll see here that 15% of phones in the Philippines are smartphones, and majority are feature phones compared to the other countries. So for example, the one that's kind of the same as the Philippines is India. 16% of phones in India are smartphones, and the rest are feature phones, and so on. So, however, even if it's still low, we still see a lot of growth. So in the year before, so from quarter one this year, and the year before that, around 1.8 million smartphones were sold in the Philippines, which is a 24% growth from the year previous. And the average price of a smartphone is 9,000 pesos. For those who know people in the Philippines, you know that 9,000 pesos is not, maybe for in the US, that's not big, it's mid-priced. But for the Philippines, it's seen as high-priced. And therefore, a 24% growth of a 10,000 peso device or item is really quite high. Hence, the sales value of handsets amounted to around 16.7 billion. This does not count feature phones. Feature phones still sell a lot, but it's really smartphones that have been growing much more than feature phones. So I'm going to shift towards smartphone usage. Those who, and I'm sure almost 100% of you are on smartphones, so you know this as a fact. Smartphone users are captive audience, particularly in Asian countries. You will see in this chart that the Philippines over here, in terms of communication, these are minutes. The numbers that you see are minutes. In terms of minutes, other APAC countries spend more time on communication than the Philippines. But in terms of applications, the Philippines does not lag far behind. On applications, and that includes social networks, 44 minutes per day on applications, around 20, if I'm not mistaken, around 28 minutes of that are actually on social networks. You saw the slide earlier of Kat. We are one of the top 10 in terms of Facebook usage, and Facebook is really seen to be, the Philippines rather, is really seen to be one of the highest markets in terms of Facebook accounts. Compared to other countries though, SMS usage in the Philippines is still much higher. So you will see here that 18 minutes of the 38 minutes is comprised of SMS use compared to the others. So the other countries are migrating towards chat apps. And chat needs a lot of data, whether you're on Wi-Fi or mobile. For the Philippines, because a number of them still are on feature phones, SMS usage is still seen to be quite high. For those who are on apps, as I mentioned earlier, social networking is the most popular and engaging online activity. From July 2013 to March 2014, from 32% of the time that they spent on these applications, it's risen to around 43% at the end of Q1. So 43% of the time you spend on applications on social media, largely because of the very highly engaged activity for Filipinos. I grabbed this from an external source. So among those who are net active, Filipinos are seen to be highly social and highly engaged. So in the first chart here, you'll see that in terms of Facebook, well, they claim to have a high number. They claim that 96% of those who are netizens or net active use social media. Compared with Google, next, Twitter, but still quite high. You're seeing here Pinterest. Pinterest is not, not the most popular online application, and yet we still have more than 20% on Pinterest. And they also say that Filipinos are highly engaged, meaning of all of these markets, Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand, and Vietnam, Philippines has one of the highest clicks, meaning if they see an ad, they will click it. Now, it doesn't mean that they actually purchase, but they're highly curious. They will click. And in fact, I even read an article before that said that mail is actually still works very well in the Philippines because you don't get, here it's called junk mail, there it's called mail. So for you to be able to get these World Vision, these UNICEF, it's like exciting, you actually open it. So same thing here, very highly engaged. Question is, will they be able to actually purchase? Hopefully, yes. For you, all of you, for those of you who want to open an app in the Philippines.